it's been about a year since my last update, but there's really not much new to talk about. It's been 4 years though, believe it or not, in the Bullitt here, and time has just been flying. It's an absolute blast. The miles haven't been racking up though, as you know, if you've watched the past updates on this car. I've put 2,000 miles on it here this year, and so that just comes down to, again, driving press cars primarily, not having very many places to go in this vehicle because, now that we have our daughter, it's a little bit harder to take the Bullitt out, because I'm always needing a vehicle with an actual usable back seat and, something that can fit a car seat, and this isn't it. And so because of that, this is, relinquished to airport runs and random little, errand runs and things like that whenever I don't have press vehicles, and that's about it. But I did manage to do one little 500-mile road trip here a few months back to film the 2014 Shelby GT500 actually, and so that was like the most driving I've done in this thing in the past 12 months, which is sad. I don't have the time to drive it as much as I would like to. I wish it was a daily driver. I honestly wish I had 100,000 miles on this car. Like, I want to rack up miles so badly, but instead it just sits in the garage and I stare longingly at it, wishing that I could take it out for a drive, but I don't have the time, unfortunately. The channel keeps me so busy, being a dad keeps me so busy, and so all those things just mean there's not much time for the Bullitt. But I do have a few little observations here, even though it's only been 2,000 miles of driving. After 4 years, there is one little thing that has started to deteriorate slightly. So the one thing that's deteriorated here in 4 years is that this armrest now squeaks. I don't know if you can hear that, but that is the only problem. Otherwise, I mean, everything has aged so well here. 4 years, the seats aren't rippled or anything. Steering wheel wear is very minimal. Everything still works really good. No complaints. And while I'm walking around the car here, tires still haven't worn out, and they also haven't like rotted or anything, so those Mission Pilots are holding up really nicely, and so is this ceramic coating. So I actually have been neglecting the ceramic coating. I haven't bothered to do any kind of refresh for 3 years on it now, so but regardless, it's still very hydrophobic with the way that whenever I wash it, it beads up really nicely. Still has a great shine to it. And the expel that's underneath the ceramic coating also is in really good shape still. So 17,500 miles, again, not a lot of mileage, but I have a few little things here from road trips where it's probably saved the paint, a few minor little things. That's just dirt actually. So otherwise, yeah, I mean, it's just doing really good, and I think that's one thing I love about the Expel too, is that it allows you to not worry about the paint finish, and so I could peel this off and have perfect paint basically underneath still, and put more on if I wanted it to be perfect looking, but it's doing its job, and still has aged really well too. It isn't peeling up. It's not having any issues, as far as age goes as well, in addition to the mileage. So I have, no complaints, but now the sun's coming out. Look at how that Highland green paint shines. It's still, I still love this thing. It is just absolute perfection in my mind. But anyway, so yeah, that's it as far as the outside though. Still is looking great. And the only thing is, the exhaust tips still, they never actually faded more than they did like in that first year, where the black finish faded off of them and flaked and looked crappy. I never bothered to mess with it. It's not a priority. I don't really care that much. It doesn't look great whenever you stare at it, but it hasn't gotten any better or any worse. It's just, it is what it is. I just live with it and just focus on the absolute blast I have driving this thing. But yeah, that's the only imperfection really. Otherwise, it's still just doing really good. Otherwise though, I took the car in for an oil change back in April. Had my buddy Pittsburgh Views change the oil on it again, because you got to change it every year, even whenever you don't drive it that much. But otherwise, it's just going really smoothly. I keep forgetting to send in the oil sample that I took back in April to see how the engine's doing, but it's only been 2,000 miles. I don't expect any kind of changes in the engine. The oil analysis in the past kept saying that it was broken in very well and everything was very good and everything, you know, was in total health. So, you know, I don't have any concerns about this vehicle, even though next year it will be out of its powertrain warranty. So it's a 5-year powertrain warranty. So, you know, but again, with the mileage being so low, I'm not anticipating any kind of issues after that warranty period. And I decided, by the way, if you followed up on last year's video, yeah, I decided not to do any kind of extended warranty. The air conditioning is still running fine. And again, because of how little I use this vehicle, I don't anticipate it to have really any issues, even age-related issues. Now, the only other thing that is, I guess, worth mentioning is that there's been a recall for the Bullitt and several other 2019 Mustangs where the blind spot monitoring, I think, doesn't work. It sends out some kind of error message or something, and so they just basically want to reflash the ECU for a new tune so that that doesn't happen. I haven't gone and done that yet because it doesn't seem like it's anything very urgent or pressing, but I'll probably, you know, do that here sometime this fall whenever I get a chance. But yeah, I mean, you know, the thing is with this car, you know, I think because I don't drive it so much, I think it really amplifies the enjoyment I do have whenever I do get a chance to drive it, because, you know, it just, every drive is so visceral and it's just so exciting. And as the years go by, you know, and this kind of stuff gets more and more rare, I'm really appreciating it so much more every time I drive. And, you know, the manual, the V8, the loud exhaust, it just excites every one of my senses every time I go for a drive in this thing. And that's something that can't be said for even a lot of, you know, modern performance vehicles. And one other thing I do have to add is, so, you know, if you've been watching the channel this past year, you know, I had a GR86 for a week and a BRZ for a week, and, you know, I was really tempted by those vehicles, but ultimately, you know, the reason why I decided not to go for one of those and to stick with the Bullitt is, one, because the original plan was to always keep the Bullitt forever. I love this thing, and, you know, I didn't want to give it up for anything. I would have loved to add a GR86 as an extra car, but, you know, not to change or, you know, swap for this car. But, you know, I think the thing that, like, those cars and a lot of modern new cars don't have is, you know, it's this, like the BRZ and the GR86, they don't have great exhaust notes still. You know, and just the adjustability this car has, I think, is what really keeps me coming back to it every time, because it fits every single mood I'm in, no matter what mood I'm in. If I want a quiet exhaust to sneak out so I don't wake the baby, I can have that. If I want to have it loud, all it is a flip of a switch. If I want to have it, you know, a stiffer setup for the suspension to, you know, chase somebody down a back road, I can do that. But then whenever I want to just loaf around and just pretend like I'm in a rolling couch, I can have the suspension nice and soft as well and do that. And that's something that, you know, those other sports cars don't really offer. And some of them, you know, offer some stuff, like the Supra, you know, offers something like that, you know, with the active exhaust and the active suspension. But, you know, it's always pretty stiff. I really like the Bullitt in all, you know, 2019 Mustangs are set up to be kind of on the soft side. But, you know, as much as I wish that I was, you know, on Tail the Dragon every weekend, or I was tracking this thing or doing intense spirited driving, at my point in life right now, I don't have the time to take this to the autocross course. I don't have time to push it or track it or even, you know, chase down friends on a back road. I very rarely have time for even that anymore. So, you know, for me, just something comfortable that just sounds awesome, that still looks awesome, that's still engaging with the manual and stuff, even if I'm not racing around, is just this unique combination in this car that I really enjoy and keep coming back to, and it's what keeps me firmly in this driver's seat and not, you know, in some other competing vehicle's driving seat, because it just has this combination you don't really get much of these days. And so yeah, even at only 17,607 miles here, you know, after 4 years, I still absolutely love this thing. Still plan to keep it, you know, as long as I possibly can, hopefully the rest of my life. You know, the values on it are staying strong now, like I talked about last year. It's come down a little bit. They originally were offering, like last year, like MSRP for these. Now this year, it's like, you know, 45 grand or so. I paid, you know, about 50 for it. But I don't even care what the value is, because I still just absolutely love this thing. It's still just such a blast. And yeah, just can't praise it enough still. I just, again, wish I had more time to drive it, but hopefully that'll happen eventually. But in the meantime, it just patiently waits for me in the garage for me to have one of these fun blasts every once in a while in it. And it's an awesome car still. But anyway, so yeah, that's all of my thoughts here on, you know, the Bullitt here after 4 years. Let me know your thoughts on these in the comments below. And thank you guys very much for watching. I'll see you on the next one. Take care.